Well done. Good evening, everyone. I am Joy Amanabo. I work with LEAP Africa, and I lead the team on the debates competition. LEAP Africa is a youth-focused organization. We're 21 years old, and we're working to raise leaders who will transform Africa. The initiative in itself, that's the Youth Leadership Debates, is under the Nigeria Youth Futures Fund, in partnership with the MacArthur Foundation and the Ford Foundation. I must mention very quickly and really appreciate the platform team. This is the second time in a row we're having the debates in the October edition. Please, special appreciation to Pastor Podro Oyemade and the Platform Nigeria team. Thank you so much for believing in our vision and for providing us the constant support that you have. The Youth Leadership Debates competition is designed to build the intellectual and speaking capacity of young people across Nigeria's tertiary institutions, basically amplifying their voices on topical issues that affect not just the young people, but Nigeria as a whole. And the entire project, the Nigeria Youth Futures Fund, goes with the common hashtag, the Nigeria we want. And that's basically linked to what we've been discussing ever since. Since June 2023, we had 354 students sign up from across 45 tertiary institutions. So it's been such a long journey across several stages of debates. And I must quickly appreciate all of the debaters that have participated up until now. And right now, even having here the finalists with us. Please, a warm appreciation to all of the debaters and students who have been part of this till now. Before I call up the speakers, I'd like to quickly introduce our judges. Our judges will be working alongside us today to determine the winners of this competition. In no particular order, we have Mr. Tunde McCleaver, founder, Learning Engine, and representative of the Platform Nigeria. Thank you, sir. We also have with us Dr. Amina Salihu, the Acting Deputy Director of the MacArthur Foundation, one of our funders here. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we have with us Mrs. Uche Pedro, founder, Bella Niger, and interestingly, one of our board of directors at LEAP Africa. Please, special appreciation for her. An interesting feature that we have for you this year in comparison to last year is that you, the audience, also have a chance to vote in your team. So at some point, you'll be working alongside the judges to determine the winners of this competition. I hope that's exciting. So we look forward to that, and just get ready to cast your vote when that time comes. Now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to have the debates. All right. To my right, we have the team from University of Ibadan. We have Yusuf, Aisha, and Abdul Habib Akorede. Please, a round of applause for them. And to my left, we have the University of Ilorin, Olorun Yomi Adebimpe Covenant, and Ayonde, please. A round of applause for both of them. I think that's something I find very interesting about this debates competition is that I happen to be an alumnus of both institutions. So for me, it's a big one. All right. As our usual practice, we typically tie the theme of the debates or the topic of the debates to the theme of the platform. And this year is not any different. We have a really interesting topic before us. The topic before us is Nigeria's long-standing position as the giant of Africa is no longer tenable. We have the team from University of Ilorin supporting this motion and the team of University of Ibadan opposing this motion. Before we get into that, I'll quickly call out the rules of engagement to our debaters as our practice. From each team, we'll have the first speaker come up with opening statements. You have 4 minutes to introduce the motion, set mechanisms and models, and provide your arguments. And then we have the second speakers come up afterwards for 2 minutes to provide rebuttals and provide new substantial arguments to buttress their points. And both teams have 1 minute each for their closing statements to crystallize their points. Debaters, the timer is before you. Your as soon as the time elapses, you only have 10 to 15 seconds to close out on your statement. Anything you say outside of that time will not be counted in your favor and might as well attract a deduction from your scores. There are other practices that can attract a penalty. That includes inappropriate conduct, objectionable language, severe attack on another debater, falsified evidence, and unfair tactics. So let's have the debates. This is where I would have loved some drum rolls. All right. And so now we'll call up the debaters for their arguments. We'll start off with the team supporting this motion. From the University of Ilorin, we have the first speaker, Adebimpe Covenant.
Who named Nigeria as the giant of Africa? Was it other Nigerians, African countries,
our colonizers, or even the government at that time? Well, it doesn't matter who or where that name came from, because being a giant is not just about the appellation. It is creating affirmation through actions and facts, how great you truly are. Why was Nigeria referred to as the giant of Africa? Number one, in 1956, Nigeria as a young nation struck crude oil and began to export to foreign countries in 1958. In 1970, she enjoyed a large oil boom and joined OPEC in 1971. Her population then was just about 100 million, but she was already making significant moves towards being the richest in Africa by being the largest producer of oil, having the highest GDP compared to other African countries, and having an exchange rate of $1 to 1.82 naira. $1 to 1.82 naira. Many of us can relate to this. Many reasons such as this was the reasons why Nigeria earned her name, Giant of Africa. Also, due to her recent population, according to the Guardian's newspaper in 2017, many relate to Nigeria as the Giant of Africa because of her population of over 200 million. By predictions, the country is set to hold the third largest population in the world by 2050. Now, how did Nigeria fall from her position as the giant of Africa? Number one, during the Civil War of 1967 to 1970, in which Nigeria experienced a decrease in oil production, decrease in foreign investment, and a rise in inflation. Number two, due to the mismanagement of the military government at that time, which includes corruption, mismanagement of the revenue of the nation, failure to invest into other sectors such as technology, abandonment of agriculture and small-scale businesses, such that when crude oil prices began to crash in the 1990s, there was nowhere to run to. Having shown us Nigeria's former status as the giant of Africa, how she fell, and showing the areas as to why she earned the name, I will be proving to you that we are no longer giants in those sectors that made us earn our name, and I will be preferring solutions to those problems. Number one, in terms of our demographics and populations, Nigeria's large population was expected to be a reservoir of large human labor, increase in human capital development, and also a base of increase in agricultural production because of our large population. However, our big population has only created big problems, such as unemployment, food scarcity, inadequate access to education, and decreased innovation. The youth currently experience a decrease in opportunities, which has led to frustrations of so many of them. BRICS, which is an association of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, which are highly populated countries in their continent, have utilized their population to reflect to their development. Why is Nigeria the most populous country in Africa, not part of BRICS? Because Nigeria cannot relate to the level of development that these countries have. What is the solution to this? Prioritizing education. The government should fund education. According to a survey by UNICEF, Nigeria has about 18.2 million children who cannot proceed beyond primary school education. The government should also prioritize vocational trainings and entrepreneurship, which would help to curb unemployment and tap into the potential of every citizen. Also, our economic strength. Nigeria's economic strength is largely reliant on crude oil exports, such that it is affected by global oil price fluctuations. Nigeria must diversify its economy by tapping into technology, agriculture, and even small-scale businesses to attract foreign investment. Also, on our soft skills and on our soft skills and potentials. Nigeria possesses immense soft skills and potentials, but we must harness these in order to maintain a region of influence in Africa. With these few points of mine, I have been able to prove to you that Nigeria has not been able to maintain its stand as the giant of Africa.
A round of applause, please. Okay. We've got the first part from Ilorin. And now we go over to the first speaker from University of Ibadan. You have 4 minutes. Aisha Usman.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The proposition has spent 4 minutes telling us what we've always known, that Nigeria has many problems, and that there are some African countries out there doing better in some areas than Nigeria, but they missed the mark. The population, natural resources, GDP has never been the reason Nigeria is the giant of Africa. I'll tell you what is. Lima Miller, renowned professor of politics and foreign policy from Stanford University, gave the composition for which a superpower can be measured to include 4 axes, which include military, economy, cultural, and political influence. Now, let me tell you a story of greatness. Let me tell you the story of Africa, the giant of Africa, Nigeria. 3 weeks ago, renowned music awards show MTV introduced a new vote category, Best Afrobeat, paying homage to Nigeria, the home of Afrobeat. It is therefore no surprise that only 1 of the 7 songs nominated in that category was not made by a Nigerian. 4 days ago, Nigerian film The Black Book became #1 on Netflix across the world, becoming the first from Africa to achieve such feat, according to Nairametrics. So you see, that Nigeria's cultural influence across the world is the reason we call it Giant of Africa, which is unmatched by any other African country. So to the second metric, political power. From the days of independence to recent years, Nigeria has exerted great political dominance in the African region. Apart from being a founding member of many regional international organizations like the African Union and ECOWAS, Nigeria has consistently exerted dominance in the policies of these countries in this region. Let me show you a real-life example. Just in July 2023, there was a military coup in Niger. Many people in the world were looking towards Nigeria. Why? It's not just because our president is the head of ECOWAS, but because the decision Nigeria makes on that military coup can greatly influence the decision that ECOWAS makes. Ladies and gentlemen, President Tinubu's delegates to Niger were one of the first to get on ground in the Niger Republic to determine how we can actually revert this military coup. So, judges, the proposition have a body in today's debate to show us any African country that's been able to exert anything close to Nigeria's dominance when it comes to politics in Africa. Until you offset that burden, they cannot win today's debate. Now, attentive audience, let me tell you about Nigeria's influence in military in Africa. You see, Nigeria is not just about its numbers and its natural resources, it's about how it has been using them over the years. Now, let me show you. Nigeria has been greatly committed to ensuring the security and defense of African region. So whatever the opponents want to tell you about our insecurity or about Nigeria having just the 4th strongest military in Africa is invalid. Why? Because research shows that Nigeria has committed more than $8 billion to peacekeeping missions in Liberia. And if you add the one in Sierra Leone to it, the number skyrockets to $13 billion, according to an article on the International Center for Investigative Reporting. In fact, between 500 to 2,000 Nigerian peacekeepers have lost their life to protect the security, peace, and sanity in the African region. So, whatever the proposition wants to say, you must realize that it's not just about Nigeria having these numbers, these figures, or these resources. It's about how Nigeria has been using them to protect and promote Africa over the years. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, make no mistakes. Being the giant of Africa is not just about numbers. It's not about being the best country in Africa, but about influence, and now you use that influence. And we have shown you that Nigeria has great influence in Africa, whether geopolitically, militarily, or culturally, and has been using this influence to push Africa forward. So, yes, Nigeria might have its problems. In fact, you can call it a sickly giant, but the fact remains nonetheless that it is a giant, the giant of Africa. From the University of Ibadan, my name is Aisha Yusuf. Thank you.
A round of applause, please. Okay. Don't be in a hurry to make your decision yet. We still have speakers speaking, and I'm sure that they'll be able to convince us and not confuse us. All right, up next, very quickly, we have the second speaker from University of Ilorin, Ayonde Peace. You have 2 minutes.
For the sake of clarity, our claim in this debate is that Nigeria's long-standing position as the giant of Africa is no longer tenable. Is not to say that she's not developing in one area or the other, but it is to say that relative to other African countries, she's no longer the giant that she used to be. I mean, what is the point of having so much influence in the African countries when certain areas of your country is terrorized? As I move further, whoever wins this debate is the team that is able to realize that as a nation, we are falling, and thereby producing solutions to these problems. And that is exactly what we are doing on this side of the debate. I'll cite an example of a country, China, because it is imperative if we are going to rise as the giant of our continent to learn from giants of other continents. And that's why I'll be citing China. Despite our population of 1.43 billion, China has been able to eradicate poverty. And unfortunately, Nigeria, with our over 220 million population, still have a multi-dimensional poverty index of 63% as of 2022, according to National Bureau of Statistics. Now, I know my opponent may want to raise that, yes, China's system of government is different, but our multi-party democracy system should even be what to give us an edge as it accounts for more accountability and checks and balances. Nigeria, just like China, should invest in education and innovation, work on producing and supporting local manufacturing industries, as well as empowering vocational and entrepreneurship skills. And as I move further, the burden is not just on the government, but that citizens assume the role of nation building, and that is how we will rise, because we are falling as giants of Africa. Every one of us must assume the role of nation building. We must employ the top to bottom, bottom to top approach to ensure that we raise Nigeria from where she has fallen. And now I want you to join me as I say, arise, O compatriots, arise, O Nigeria, arise, O fallen giant of Africa. Yes, you are falling, but surely you can rise. Thank you.
Surely you can rise. Okay. It's getting hot in here. We'll bring up the second speaker from University of Ibadan, Abdul Habib Akorede.
My speech today is about you. It is about your existence as a Nigerian and how you can and how it can and continues to make it a giant despite the mistakes of its leadership. First, let me tell you about resilience. According to data on the African tech ecosystem by FDI Intelligence and Brighter Bridges in 2022, Nigeria scores low on economic potential and business readiness. What they are saying is that there is very little opportunity for your businesses to thrive and become successful. But notice the plot twist. The same source ranks Nigeria as the country with the highest number of startups out of South Africa, Kenya, which are more welcoming to businesses and have higher economic potential. Notice again how, according to the Financial Times and Statista in May 2023, 27 out of the top 100 fastest growing companies in Africa are from Nigeria. 2 of those being first and second overall are in that list. In 2022, despite the challenges that they faced, Nigerian businesses, your businesses, still managed to have the highest amount of investment compared to other African countries, according to a report by Africa the Big Deal. Congratulations, Nigerians. That is one story of your resilience. Second, let me tell you about effort. The Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline. According to a report published by North Africa Post in June 2023, the pipeline will benefit up to 400 million people across 13 African countries, increase access to gas, not just for us, but for them too, and supports the integration of economies within the region. There is also the Kano-Maradi rail line, which DataFight tells us could transform Nigeria into an import and export center for Sahel and Saharan countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the proposition have asked us to provide evidence. We have done so. From the University of Ibadan, Abdul Habib Akorede.
A round of applause, please. It's getting intense and getting more heated. All right, so quickly I'll be calling upon the speakers from University of Ilorin for their closing statements, and you have 1 minute.
In response to the defense about Nigeria's military base, I would like us to know that Nigeria's military is largely dependent on imported equipment and technology. Over the years, the country has imported weapons and military hardware from a variety of countries, including the United States, Russia, and China. Ladies and gentlemen, it is funny how today I have come to speak to us about the history of Nigeria's greatness, which my father sat down to tell me. But what story am I going to tell to my children about Nigeria's greatness? I speak for all the Nigerian youths when I say that we cannot relate to the history of Nigeria's greatness. We have kept on talking about past glory. We have to recognize that there is a problem, and in there lies the solution. They come to talk to us about potentials. Potentials without opportunities will become redundant. Talking about potentials without how it impacts on our development is like explaining and explaining without evidence. Talking about the music industry, how has it impacted on our country as a whole? I rest my case.
Thank you so much, University of Ilorin. Thank you, the University of Ilorin. Thank you. We'll be bringing up the next speaker from University of Ibadan for your closing statement. You have 1 minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, since today's topic asked us about sustainability, then the burden on both sides is simple. It is for us to show whether that sustainability still exists or does not. In our case, we have showed you that by proving that Nigeria still has its socio-cultural influence. We have also showed you that it has political power on the African continent, which no other African country possesses. And we have also shown you that even in the realm of security and defense, we are still a strong country. Now, let me respond to an argument raised about Nigeria importing equipment. Even some of the strongest military nations in the world still import equipment from other countries. Russia does so today. It is one of the strongest militaries. It imports equipment. That question has been answered. Now, moving on. They also raised arguments about big population, solutions, and things like that. We have basically told you by discharging our burden, by stating that we have a startups despite the problems that we face. Remember, we have not refuted the fact that we actually have problems. We are only saying that despite these problems, we are still a strong country. For Nigeria, Abdul Habib Akorede.
A round of applause, please. Whoa. Now, that was a heated one. And I definitely had a good time. I hope you did too. Okay, audience, so you start getting ready to cast your votes. We would have the link come up shortly. In the meantime, we're going to get feedback from our judges. Oh yes, you can start casting your votes. But we're going to quickly get feedback from our judges. Our judges will be providing feedback to each team and to each team on the competition. Our judges, I'll be calling up Mr. Tunde McCleaver for your feedback to the debaters.
All right. I mean, excellent delivery by both universities. I think that, of course, because we love Nigeria, the crowd seems to be very favorably inclined to University of Ilorin, because when the country is not living up to expectation, then the aspiration of people can be manifested to competition. But I would say in terms of empirical data, now, so persuasion, very fantastic from University of Ilorin, but empirical data, University of Ibadan provides more empirical data to support the argument. For instance, they define to us what a giant of Africa is based on research. I didn't get what to expect from a giant from the University of Ilorin. So I think maybe when you have other times, it's always important. For instance, how I come in here, I didn't know the topic, so I wasn't prepared. I don't know what definition of a giant is globally. So University of Ibadan was the only university that educated me on what to expect from a giant. I didn't get that from University of Ilorin, so that would be something you can do. But in terms of persuasion, I think they did excellently well in terms of persuasion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Tunde. All right, we'll have next Dr. Amina Salihu for our feedback to the debaters.
Many thanks to our team of debaters. And I think I should stand because I've got this thing in the middle. I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is about voice. It's the power, the perspective, and the passion that both teams bring to the debate. And I think that is what matters, having this kind of platform to argue your case. In the final analysis, it's not going to be about whether there's a giant in play or there's not a giant in play, because after all, David slew Goliath, right? But the most fundamental thing is in terms of how your audience is convinced about your argument, how your audience perceives your standpoint, and the power of data. Because we all can stand here and say things anecdotally, but what are the facts? And one important technique that I have seen that I want to call out here is the power of storytelling. Coming out to tell a story would always get the attention of people, because no one really wants to listen to all of the big grammar. But when you connect with their hearts, you know, their minds will open. And I think we have seen that today. And I would like to say a very big thank you to the two teams and Leap Africa.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. And please, a round of applause for Dr. Amina. Next, we have Mrs. Uche Pedro give her feedback to the debaters.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say well done to the two teams. You both did awesome. And also thank you to the audience for being so energized and gingered by the topic. I'll start on this side. For University of Ibadan, I love the use of relevant pop culture references, because I can see that connected with the crowd, things that happened recently beyond the historical references, which was very good. On the other side, University of Ilorin, of course, you brought a lot of passion to the table, and I would also say great data points were referenced as well, and your rebuttals were very strong. You picked up on some of the points, and you pushed back, and of course, our audience responded very well to that. So overall, great showing by everyone, and may the, may the best win. Thank you.
Thank you so much to our judges. Thank you so much. So right now, we'll give just about 5 minutes to send in your votes, and our judges also collect their scores. Please, let's have the link back up so people can send in their votes. We have 5 minutes to quickly do this. Okay. I think we would like to do this a bit shorter. So please, in about a minute or two, we would like to have your votes so we can quickly collate the scores. In the meantime, like I mentioned, the debate is under the Nigeria Youth Futures Fund. The project in itself was born out of the outcomes of the NSAS movement, and it was for us to build capacity of young people to lend their voices to policy issues. We got young Nigerians across, we had Nigerians across the 36 states of Nigeria and the FCT reimagine the Nigeria that they wanted and even find themselves in that vision of Nigeria that they want. Today we're able to, a few months ago, we were able to produce a report, the Nigeria We Want report. You can find that on our website, where young people diagonized Nigeria and basically created scenarios where they also found themselves playing active parts in it, and also bringing in the government and other organizations playing their parts in it. Within the fund as well, we also saw the need to provide funding to young people with ideas, brilliant ideas, growing organizations, growing initiatives at the grassroots level majorly. And right now, I'm happy to announce that we actually have the fund open, though for a few days. So basically, the pillars around this fund for this year are focused around good governance and answering the fundamental questions around integrity, peace, patriotism. So if you do have an outstanding initiative, an outstanding idea, feel free to plug into that fund. You just might be getting some funding. And I mean, it's a huge one to mention that we'll be giving almost $1 million in funding to institutions and individuals. And I think that deserves a round of applause right there. So feel free to send in your ideas as well. You could just be selected and given some grants to carry out that initiative. So we have, okay, our judges are putting the scores together. Our judges are pulling up the scores together. Across the different phases of the competition, we had a series of conversations even around students' loan, the fuel subsidy, and it was interesting to see how young people lent their voices with passion on these matters that concern them. And just a few days ago, we are actually at the Lagos State University to have the quarterfinals and semifinals, and it was quite an intense and engaging one at the institution. And from that institution, we even had the third position emerge from that, and we'll be presenting to them their award. So for some of you in the hall who might feel like, oh, my institution is not right here at the finale, I'm pleased to announce that our second runner-up on the debate is actually the University of Lagos. We'll be calling them up much later to receive their awards. I believe that we're putting the scores together, and that should come up very shortly. That would come up really, really shortly. Okay. Okay. We must appreciate every one of you for being a part of this, and working with us on this journey. I would also like to acknowledge one of our partners who had graciously donated laptops, even to the winners of the competition. So we have winners of the competition leave here with cash prizes and laptops. We'll have the third position go with ₦1 million and 2 laptops. I think that's exciting. We have the second position would also leave here with ₦1.5 million and 2 laptops as well. And then the first position will be going away with a grand prize of ₦2.5 million and 2 laptops. That's a huge one. And I want to especially appreciate our partner, Future Work Africa, for donating these laptops to the debaters. The Future Work Africa, represented here by Mrs. Uche Pedro, for donating the laptops. And special appreciation to our funders for making this happen. MacArthur Foundation and Ford Foundation, special thanks to you for making this happen. Okay, I believe that I'll have the scores up here shortly. We'll have the scores come up shortly. Please bear with us. And this is just because we want to have your voice as a part of it. Last year, we saw the anticipation from the audience to really contribute, and they felt like they had their own teams. And we thought it would be good to have the audience also lend their voice to the results this afternoon. All right, that being said, I'd like to, very shortly, we'll be calling up some special guests as well as some of our partners to equally join us in the presentation of our awards. I believe that that's coming up really quickly. All right. Okay. The debates in itself, even beyond the competition, entailed some form of capacity building. The debaters at some point had to go through a series of coaching and mentoring sessions with experts really across sectors, providing them coaching on public speaking, public policy, understanding research, and just building their capacity up until this point. So it's been real hard work on the part of the debaters to be a part of this journey since the commencement of the debate competition. And I must quickly acknowledge even the schools that even made it. Thank you. Okay, so we have the results, and it's quite exciting to be on this side of the table right now. Okay, but I'm going to quickly call up some of our guests who would help with the presentation of our awards. We'll start off with the second runner-up. Please help me welcome our judges. Our judges, please, would like you to come forward. You'll help us with presenting the awards. Also, yes, our judges, please. Thank you. I'd also like to welcome I'd also like to welcome the Executive Director at LEAP Africa, Kehinde Ayeni. Please join us in presenting these awards. Also help me welcome the Nigeria Youth Futures Fund Project Lead, Ikenna Ogudimpa, to join us in presenting this award. And please very quickly help me welcome Ahmed, the Program Manager, LEAP Leadership Institute, to join us in presenting the award to the second runner-up. Okay, and so for the second runner-up, we have the team from University of Lagos. Please help welcome Ememobong Ipe and Enyola Oni. Please come forward. A round of applause, please. It's been no easy feat. Well done, well done. And very quickly, I would like to call up, no, please let's have you stay back. Please let's have you stay back. I'd like to also call up one of our board members at LEAP Africa, who spoke very passionately and graciously to us. And if you remember, the SMO, Dr. Joe Abba, kindly join us, please. A round of applause. Okay, and so this is me calling up the first runner-up. Are we ready to hear this? Are you sure you're ready? I love it right now. All right, the first runner-up with a total of 53.22%. My goodness, that was a good one. 53.22%. The first runner-up is, can I have some drum rolls? The University of Ibadan, Aisha Yusuf and Abdul Abib. Please come forward for your prize. Please, a round of applause for them. Please give them their laptops now. Let them start with it as well. Yes, please. A round of applause, please. A round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. No. Yes, sir. And so we'll be bringing up the winner, but before that, would like Pastor Pojo to join us. Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. All right. So the winner of the 2023 Youth Leadership Debates Competition, the University of Ilorin, Peace Ayondele, and Adebimpe Covenant. A round of applause, please. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was no easy feat. Out of 354 students, it was no easy one. Thank you so much to our judges. Special thanks to you for being a part of this. Special thanks to our partners, Ford Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, and Future Work Africa. Special thanks to the Platform Nigeria for the time they've given to us to be here. And would like to say happy independence to all of you. Thank you.